These are my light tanks. I have a few different light tanks, and I'm going to go over the crew skills and how I equip all of my light tanks. Now, first of all, I try to get the most crew skills for the commander for almost every tank, and usually the gunner is the one that has the second most number of crew skills, and the loader usually has the least number of crew skills. However, with light tanks, you've got a little bit of an exception. I don't fire my gun, so my driver is more important than my gunner, and my driver has more crew skills. On almost every tank, I have 4 crew skills. There are exceptions. I haven't made it to 5 yet, but I've got some that are getting pretty close. Now, in terms of what skills I use BIA, and the reason why is because BIA improves almost every stat that you can think of. Doesn't improve everything, but improves such a wide variety of stats that BIA is very important. BIA is very similar to the consumables such as Coca-Cola and also to vents. All three together, what they do is they improve things like your reload time and your aim time and the gun dispersion, maybe your view range, the turret traverse, the average damage per minute will change, the traverse speed, maybe even concealment. So a lot of things are affected by those 3 things, and BIA is the crew skill that does it. So I try to get that as soon as I can on most tanks. For my light tanks, and for every tank, I use 6 Sense. 6 Sense is pretty much a necessity. There's people that argue that you don't need it for some tanks, but I will give a counter argument. 6 Sense will keep you alive in the game, especially if you are a light tank. When you play on the front lines, or if you're the last one left, it's very helpful to have 6 Sense. I play on the front lines all the time, no matter what tank I have. Even SPGs. I know you're going to laugh and say, no, you don't play on the front lines with SPGs. Well, you're going to find out that what I'm saying is true. And when people think that they're in an RD safe position, not true when I'm playing. Okay, so the next skill that my commander has is situational awareness. Not every light tank has situational awareness for the commander. It depends on whether or not you have a radio guy. If you have the radio guy, then he would have situational awareness. But depending on the tank, a different crew member might have situational awareness. Let's check this. The SPIC, he has it for the commander. The T-54 lightweight has a loader that has situational awareness. So he has the radio operator skills. So situational awareness is like recon. They allow you to see further. And you might say, well, why don't you use recon before situational awareness? The answer is because with situational awareness, you see twice as far as with recon. Recon adds between 10 and 15 meters. Situational awareness will add between 20 and 30 meters. So my commander has situational awareness and then recon. My tanks are optimized first for spotting, then second for concealment and camouflage. Now, in the case of the gunner, we've got the BIA and camo. He hasn't earned enough yet, and I haven't swapped him with another gunner. The driver has BIA, concealment, camouflage, off-road driving. Off-road driving allows him to drive faster on soft terrain, which might be sand and dirt and things like that. Might not have any impact on regular road. And smooth ride, which helps your gun dispersion, which means your gun's going to aim a little bit faster. It doesn't actually aim faster, but the starting point for where it begins aiming is there's less aim time. That's basically it. So I've tested this tank with off-road driving. Totally worth it. Like, for example, when you have to climb cliff to climb up that mountain, I zip up that thing so fast, it boggles the mind. And my light tanks are too difficult to control because they're just too fast. For the loader, I have BIA and camo and concealment. Again, this loader doesn't have enough crew skills. We're going to get into the important crew skills for loader and gunner when we get to other tanks that have 4 crew skills for those crew members. Okay, now remember this is optimized for spotting. So when we go into the equipment, I have vents, coated optics, and binocs. I do not use a camo net. Camo nets were great, but all 3 of these things will increase your spotting range. I have tested it in the training room to see what would happen, because you know there's a 445 meter limit. They do improve your spotting ability within that range. And I played a game, I did 8,500 spotting damage. It was easy. It was like one of the first games I did after I equipped my tanks. Probably the second day that I did my tank equipping and everything. Totally worth it. It worked. I completed LT15 for the T55A in like 3 or 4 games. And the other ones, I think that the other 2 battles I got 5,500 spotting damage. 2 games in a row. The camo net does have one great advantage other than camo. It's that it also offers camo when you fire your gun, which is pretty cool. So if you're going to be close to the enemy and fire your gun, you might want that. But again, this is optimized first for spotting, which is why I have these 3 features, except for my tier 6 because it has an open turret, which means it doesn't use vents. Now over here, you'll notice I use a large repair kit, the 105 octane gasoline, and the Coca-Cola. I use the large repair kit. You know, it gives you an additional 10% repair speed, and the 105 octane gives you more power, 10% more engine power. You can use the speed governor remover. However, there's differences. The speed governor remover is less expensive, but it damages your engine. The fuel does not damage your engine, and it works throughout the entire game. You don't have to think about it. So, you know, I pay the extra 20,000. I might not do it forever. And plus, the speed governor remover is not available on every tank. I think it's only on the Russian and the Chinese. The Coca-Cola improves everything, including, well, not everything, obviously, but a large variety of stats are improved with Coca-Cola, including the spotting range. So if he got recon up to 100%, he would have the maximum spotting range that you could possibly have on this tank. Right now it's 502 meters. I'm guessing it's going to be close to 510 meters when it's done. And yes, even though it's beyond the 445, you will spot more within the 445 range. The guns and stuff, not important, so we will not talk about the guns. I do recommend derp guns because light tanks, they don't, you know, if you are in a light tank, you don't want to have to fight against people. So if you're going to get in one shot, you prefer that it's a derp gun. It does a lot of damage. Now the SPIC, let's see how this one is. It's going to be the same. You'll notice on the bottom, everything is the same. It's got vents, coated optics, and binocs, large repair kit, the 105 octane, and the food consumable. You'll see that it does not have situational awareness before recon. That was a mistake that I made. In terms of the gunner, I have designated target, which makes the targets visible for 2 additional seconds. I don't know if it means that everybody else sees it for 2 additional seconds or not. I don't know, but people say it does. And then I have camo and snapshot. I have snapshot on almost every tank because it means that you need less time to aim your gun. It improves the dispersion. For the driver, I've got the BIA, the concealment, and off-road driving, which improves the speed. I am going to upgrade this soon to the RU-251. Look forward to do it. I really don't like this tank very much, although I seem to recall it has a really good gun on it. Now we've got the M4190. He has the same crew as my SPIC, and you'll see that he has a loader, which is not on the SPIC, and he has BIA and camo. We'll move on to the T54 lightweight. It'll be much the same. It still has vents, coated optics, and binocs, and it has the large repair kit. There's only one choice for fuel and the food consumable. The speed governor, removed speed governor, is an option. I did test it. You'll have to decide on your own if you want to use it. I predict that someday I'll start using it again, but I haven't decided to use it yet. In terms of crew, he has 4 for the commander. You'll notice that this is the only one I did in the wrong order. Normally I have BIA and then Sixth Sense and then the others. So we've got Recon, Sixth Sense, and Concealment, which is also referred to as camouflage. We've got the Snapshot Camo BIA. We've got the Off-Road Driving Camo BIA. And Situational Awareness is only at 28%. And we've got the Camo and the BIA. One thing you do want to add is anything that improves your signal range will help you in the lower tiers, or if your radio guy gets injured. And there's probably other things that you're going to want. Oh, there's a radio thing where it continues to report enemy positions for 2 seconds after the tank dies. That's something that I hope to get someday, but I don't have it yet on any of my tanks. So you see that everything is pretty much equipped the same, except for the number of crew skills differs a little bit. Now we get to the AMX 1357GF. You'll see that this is different in that the crew is all the same. It's all 4 skills at the 72%. And it's similar to what I said before. You don't want recon before situational awareness. It's better to do situational awareness first because it gives you a greater range. I've got the Deadeye, which is better than designated. No, I'm sorry. Designated target is better than, I believe it's called. Is it called Deadeye? The one that does the 3% damage. The one that does 3% damage, what it's going to do is it's going to cause extra damage maybe once out of every 3 games. One shot. 1 out of every 30 shots, basically. And then we've got the off-road driving. This one also has smooth ride, which balances the gun a little. And I've got the same equipment and the same consumables. So we go to the AMX 1390. The crew is going to be the same as we just had with the last tank. The equipment is the same. You'll notice that my consumables are different, and I think the reason why is because there is no option for fuel on this tank, so I couldn't do it. And when I don't have that, I like to use the small and the large repair kit because you have to fix your tracks often. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of nowhere with a track that needs to be repaired while everybody's shooting at you. So that's why I use 2 repair kits. Up until this week, I've used 2 repair kits on every tank for the past, 4 years. But now what I'm doing is I'm using the better octanes to get the better speed and their better performance at the sacrifice of repairs. And there's been games where it's bitten me. There's been games where I said I wish I had that second repair kit and I didn't have it. And I'm not using the first aid kit anymore either. I'm trying to get Jack of all trades, but that's not on this tank. The other thing you'll notice is that I have mostly APCR rounds and a couple HE in case I need them. The reason why is because I rarely fire the guns for light tanks. And if you rarely fire the guns, it doesn't matter what type of rounds you have. Might as well put the ones that do more damage. The other thing is that light tanks almost always go up against higher tiers, so the higher penetrating guns are important. Now, I told you there was a Chinese tank, the Type 64, which is right here. He doesn't have a closed turret. He's got an open turret, so there's no vents. And because of that, I decided to use the gun rammer so it reloads faster. And because the Chinese line is a little bit newer than the others, I don't have as many crew skills on this tank. Now you'll notice that I have more crew skill for the commander, and the reason why is because I've been using the option to increase crew skill for the commander to get him up to 93%. And that's the reason why. That's what I use it for. The other thing is, sometimes I switch him with another tank. Like I could go to a Chinese heavy tank, which might have more skills, and take the loader with 3 crew skills and switch him with the commander that had 2, and then I've got a commander over here that has 3, and the loader on my heavy tank might only have 2. So I do that so that the commander gets the 6 cents and the BIA and then all the other good stuff that he needs. Okay, so again, the only thing that I'm really missing that would really optimize these tanks is Call for Vengeance, which gives you the extra 2 seconds of spotting time. The signal boosting and the relaying helps in the lower tiers, and the higher tiers, again, not as effective. I do remember a lot of games in the lower tiers where I noticed the difference with the radio signals. If you go from player to player after the game, after you're out of the game, you'll notice that players see different things on the field, and that's what you can fix. Okay, so those are my light tanks, and I'm going to show you my lower tier light tanks. So we're going to reset this, and look at some of these guys. They use the same crew because they are premium tanks. This one's not going to pull in the full crew, but don't worry about that. Same crew as what you got on the other tanks. Now, you'll notice that instead of using vents, over here I have the light spall liner. A spall liner is a material that is on the inside of the armor, because when the ammo hits the armor, it becomes shrapnel, or the armor becomes shrapnel, and the spall liner protects the crew because it absorbs the shrapnel. It's kind of like a mattress or a sponge or cork or something like that. It just absorbs any shrapnel, reduces injuries. That's why I have it. So that protects you also from ramming, I believe. The other choice is anything that improves the drivetrain so that you don't get tracked as often might be useful. So you're going to see that I don't use the better fuel on these tanks. They are available, but I don't want to spend the money on it. You know, these tanks are usually fast enough, and they don't get, I don't know, not necessary, so I don't do it. Sometimes I use camouflage on these lower tanks. There was a discount this weekend. I probably should have bought more binoculars, but I didn't. I forgot to go through and purchase binoculars for these lower tier tanks, so I don't have them. Okay, so those are the light tanks, and if you have any questions or comments about them, please post below.